Hey guys, welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. Today we're talking Week 15 start sets for the tight end position. Again, this is an incredibly important week for you. You got to get these start sets right. We're going to do our best to help you do that this week. For those of you that are too busy to listen to the whole video, I'll give you my start sets from the very beginning. So looking at our starts, we have Number 5, we have Jonnu Smith. We have number 4, we have Noah Fant. Number 3, we have Ian Thomas. Number 2, Tyler Higbee. And then number 1, our start of the week, is Darren Waller. On the sit side of the ball, we're looking to bench Jason Witten, Mark Andrews, Hunter Henry, Jacob Hollister, and Kyle Rudolph. All right, so looking at our starts of the week, let's begin with number 5, Jonnu Smith, playing Houston Texans. Now, the Houston Texans are pretty bad against the tight end. They are number 10 on the year for fantasy points allowed, but over the past 5 weeks, they have given up the most points against the tight end position of every team in fantasy. So right now, there's a very good matchup for Jonnu Smith to exploit. This is the highest over-under in Vegas of every game this week, so this is the most likely game to turn into a shootout. Battle of the AFC South between the Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans. If you need a dart throw, I think there's a very good chance that Jonnu Smith gets one of the touchdowns that's likely to be thrown by Tannehill this week. So if you have no other option, I think Jonnu Smith ends up being a top 10 tight end on the week, even if it's just because he caught 2 passes and one of them ended up being a touchdown. You're going to be happy with that. All right, looking at number 4, Noah Fant. So Noah Fant plays Kansas City. They are number 6 in fantasy points allowed for the tight ends. Over the past 5 weeks, they've been number 8, so they've been pretty consistently bad against the tight end. Looking over at our wide receiver start sit video, we recommended a sit for Courtland Sutton, which basically bodes to the same reasons of why we're recommending a start for Noah Fant. Kansas City and Denver, I think it's likely to be a decent game. I think there's going to be a decent amount of scoring in this one, and we do still have the wild card of Drew Lock. We don't really have a big enough sample size to know what targets he's likely going to favor. When he played the Chargers, he pretty much only targeted Courtland Sutton, and then when he played the Texans last week in their blowout, he barely targeted Courtland Sutton at all. He targeted Noah Fant. He targeted his other receivers, so it didn't end up giving us much information because it was kind of inconsistent week to week. So we're basically guessing at this point. But looking at the strengths of Kansas City and the weaknesses, it would seem likely that they would try to exploit the worse tight end defense with Kansas City than they would the receivers, which is why I'm recommending a start for Noah Fant this week. Okay, at number 3, we have Ian Thomas playing the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Seattle, I think, is going to play better in this game than they did against the Rams, but overall, Seahawks have been second in fantasy points allowed to the tight end position all year. They're not very good against the tight end. It's looking like Olsen is going to miss another week. Assuming that happens, Ian Thomas becomes a very, very good start for you against the Seattle Seahawks. In this game, I think Seattle will control this one pretty handily, and I think Ian Thomas will end up getting a decent amount of usage, especially towards the end of the game, hope for some garbage time. So I think Ian Thomas is a decent start this week. I would be looking to get him into my lineup, especially if I have someone that I'm scared about starting. Number 2, we have Tyler Higbee. Just stay in the flames on this one. Looking at this game, for one, Dallas is 11th in points allowed against the tight end position on the season. This is a likely shootout based on the Vegas over-under. Tyler Higbee is playing at an incredibly high level on a surging team. The Rams are starting to look like their 2018 selves, and Tyler Higbee is a big part of that, and they're playing against defense that's not great against the tight end. This one seems pretty simple. I'm playing Tyler Higbee. All right, and then our start of the week, Darren Waller. So Darren Waller has been kind of disappointing over the past couple weeks. He had one good game 2 weeks ago, but other than that, he had been nowhere near his volume that he had received the start of the season. Well, it seems like the stars are aligning for Darren Waller to end the season the way that he started. We just saw that Foster Moreau is out for the season. He's the guy that stole the other tight end that stole a touchdown from Darren Waller this past week. Hunter Renfrow is out for the season. There's really not many targets to go around in Oakland, and this is the swan song game. This is the last home game for the Oakland Raiders, assuming they don't make the playoffs, which is not looking like they will. So I'm looking for the Raiders to put up a good scoring affair against the Jaguars, who've been absolutely terrible on defense over the past couple weeks. Look for Darren Waller to resurge and have a fantastic fantasy week. That's why he's my start of the week. Okay, looking over at the sits. We are trying to sit Jason Witten this week. Jason Witten is playing the Rams. The Rams have been lights out against the tight end. On the season, they're number 26 in points allowed, but they're actually the best team against the tight end in the last 5 weeks. That's something that scares me off of Jason Witten for sure. Yes, this is likely to be a shootout game, but if I have Cooper, Gallup, and Cobb, I'm looking to start all of them. I'm not too excited about Witten, and especially with Blake Jarwin starting to get more involved, it just lowers Witten's ceiling. His ceiling is already very low as is, but his floor is basically nothing in this game. There's most likely you can find a better option, even given some of the people that we named in the starts. I would pivot off of Jason Witten this week. Okay, the next one is Mark Andrews. Now, this one Mark Andrews has been very hard to sit this year. He's had a couple of down games, but he's been pretty consistent, and he's been scoring a lot of touchdowns. He's Lamar Jackson's favorite target, and he's been hyper efficient at getting Mark Andrews the ball in the end zone. The reason why I'm scared off of Mark Andrews this week is the New York Jets are actually very surprisingly good against the tight end. They're 31st in points allowed to the tight end all season, so they've given up almost the least amount to tight ends of any other team in the NFL. Mark Andrews is also dealing with an injury that isn't looking like it's going to be major, but he's definitely going to be playing hobbled, so most likely they're going to keep him on a snap count, especially if this game turns into a rout and there's not much offense on the Jets side of the ball. I mean, there's not really much reason for them to risk Lamar Jackson's favorite target in a game that is against a bad team. So I wouldn't be surprised if Mark Andrews doesn't see the field much on Thursday night. And based on the fact that he's hobbled, not going to see the field very much, and playing against a team that's good against the tight ends, I'm benching Mark Andrews if I have a better option. If any of the starts of this week, most likely there's at least one of them out there on the waiver wire. Hopefully you can get by without Mark Andrews this week, because I don't think he's going to do very good for you. Okay, another sit this week that's a bigger name is Hunter Henry. He's playing the Minnesota Vikings. They're 21st in points allowed against the tight end, but they've actually been getting better over the last 5 weeks. They're 27th. So there's not many teams that have allowed less points against to the tight end than the Vikings have. I'm expecting this to be a pretty low-scoring game. Henry hasn't been doing as well in the past couple weeks. He had a few drops last week. The week before, he barely had any production for you. So obviously, Hunter Henry always carries the ability to have a touchdown scored, so bear that in mind when choosing to bench Henry. But if you have a good start, I would play a better start at the tight end position with a higher ceiling than I would Hunter Henry, who I think has a much lower ceiling this week against the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, another sit we had this week is Jacob Hollister. He's playing Carolina, who they're actually 28th in fantasy points allowed to the tight end. So they've been very good against the tight end all season. They've just been so bad against the running game that other teams haven't had to throw to their tight ends. So given that consideration and the fact that I don't think that the Seahawks are going to have too much trouble winning this game, it's most likely going to be a running and a defensive game, especially on Seattle's side. I'm not expecting Seattle to have to throw too much in this game, and unless Hollister gets you a touchdown, you're probably going to be pretty disappointed with the output that he produces, and he hasn't scored a touchdown in multiple weeks now. I'm not looking for that to change this week. If you have Hollister, look to get him on your bench. Okay, and then our last sit of this week is Kyle Rudolph. He's playing the Chargers. The Chargers are very good against the tight end. They're number 24 on the season. Again, as I stated with Hunter Henry, I'm expecting this to be a low-scoring game. I think this brings Rudolph's floor very low. Irv Smith is still out there too, getting targets, so it's not like Rudolph commands a tremendous target volume. Adam Thielen is back, so if there are passing touchdowns, likely Adam Thielen is going to get more looks than Rudolph this week. Overall, I'm just looking to get Rudolph out of my lineup. I don't want to ride that roller coaster, especially with going into Week 15 where you need every guy to perform that you start. I don't want to trust Kyle Rudolph this week. But anyway, I hope you guys found this helpful, enjoyable. If nothing else, gives you someone to hate if we make a bad choice for you, other than yourself, which is actually important to be able to deflect anger to someone else. So hopefully you can get that for you, but hopefully we help you guys win most of all. And I do want to thank you guys for listening, and hopefully you guys have a tremendous holiday season. If you like this video, please like and subscribe for more content all season long and into the off season. We'll see you in the next video.